Hello, everyone. My name is Don Sparks, and I apologize in advance for any crazy background noises that you hear. I'm currently sitting in a hotel room. I'm in Washington, D.C., which is not my native home of Detroit. I'm with my daughter's Washington, D.C. trip as a chaperone. I was scheduled way ahead of this class, and so I was kind of trying to scrambling to get everything done. And here I am having to do my speech from a hotel room. So if you hear any crazy noises in the background, that is a wild bunch of eighth graders just across the wall from me there. So I'm going to try to get through this speech anyway. Uh, so I am 42. I'm a refinery operator as well as an industrial and municipal firefighter and EMT. So last year, at the age of 41, being married with 3 kids, I decided to return to school to finish my bachelor's degree. It wasn't an easy decision to make, especially since my wife, she decided to go back to school before me and finish her nursing degree. So here we are, 2 adults, 3 kids, and we both decided to go back to college. Like I said, it wasn't an easy decision to make, but I figure if I give a little background on me, it would help to understand why. So growing up, I was never really interested in school. I was an avid reader, but it was typically like sci-fi fantasy stuff, like a lot of Tolkien, Star Wars novels, and that's really all I read. In my headspace at the time, being especially a teenager, the only thing that really kept me going in school or kept me interested was sports and a terrible punk rock band that I started with my buddies. I also didn't think school was really important because all my life, all I really wanted to do was be in the military or be a cop. My dad was in the military. My brother was in the military, retired from the military, and most of my family was. So I just kind of figured that's what I was going to do. And I knew that I didn't really need higher education to get my foot in the door. I could kind of go in right out of high school and get started. So that was my plan, and I didn't take school seriously. Well, one thing I did find out is I'm injury prone, and I played a lot of physical sports. So one blown out, surgically repaired knee later, my plans and priorities kind of had to change. So after a brief stint in law enforcement, I kind of realized the juice wasn't worth the squeeze in that job without an education. I wanted to increase my pay at an increasingly rapid rate. I wasn't making a ton of money. So I took a better paying job in private security and enrolled in college to get my associate's degree, which I did. And it was just in time for an economic downturn. So by the time I wanted to get back into law enforcement, the economy had kind of turned upside down and the job availability just wasn't there. Where it used to be a pretty strong career, now you would have one job open up and 1,000, 2,000 applicants put in for that job, and the departments it was very easy for them to be picky on their applicants. So they would start looking for guys with bachelor's degrees, or they'd start looking at GPAs or academy scores. They were very particular on who they had that opportunity to pick who they wanted. They could be very picky. So that, and on top of some other events in that career and the career I was in, kind of got me jaded on the whole process, and I kind of resolved to being in career limbo. So during this period, I met a wonderful woman who is now my wife. Our relationship moved pretty fast, and before I knew it, we were married, and parenthood came pretty quick too. So when I became a father, that's when I realized I needed to kind of stop pursuing a job that was going nowhere, and which, at the time for me, law enforcement really wasn't. Um, so I took the next best thing. I had a friend who was a nuclear security officer, which is kind of like it's a high grade, high speed, low drag sort of kind of security position, still within my wheelhouse of what I understood professionally. And yeah, I got that job. But then we kind of went through some pay issues, and I got it capped out pretty quick on pay. We kept having kids, and I needed more money. I kind of started chasing the dollar, which is something I never really want to do, but it was one of those things. It is what it is, right? So when my pay got froze at the nuke plant, I reached completely outside of my comfort zone and got a job working for an oil refinery, well, the only oil refinery in Michigan. So that's currently where I reside today. So that was my past. So here I am in the present. I've been with Marathon for 10 years. I've spent all of it in operations. And I'm grateful for many things at Marathon. The company pays me well. It compensates me very well in healthcare. But it does require one thing, and that is time. I've had to sacrifice a lot of time and moments with my family to provide for my family. And refinery life is not normal. It's not normal life. It's not 9 to 5. It's not an office job. It's a lot of forced overtime. There are shutdown schedules. I've worked 18 hours a day, and I've worked up to 50 days in a row, and all of that is done out in the elements. It's tough. And so during this period of time, two kind of important things happened in my life that were kind of big events for me. My mom, we realized she had terminal cancer, and I had to take care of her, and I lost her. They gave her 6 months. We lost her in 5. So that was a pretty big thing. And then, kind of through all that too, somewhere in there, I kind of started to realize what I've done for a job and what I enjoy have never really synced up. I've always, all the things I enjoy are over here. What I do for a living is over here. And that might be a lot of people's cases, but that was something I started noticing more and more. And maybe that epiphany was the start of a midlife crisis. I don't know. And I think a lot of it was me caring for my mom while she was dying, made me reevaluate what's important to me. So I think those things got the gears turning and made me realize I need to change. So I started voicing my desires to return to school to kind of better myself. And it is something my mom always wanted me to do. She wanted me to get a bachelor's. She wanted me to go to school. She didn't want me to work a hard job for a living, like her and my dad did. So I was talking to him about going back to school with some friends, and I was considering teaching, which is ironic because I was a terrible student in high school, and but the one subject that I did really love and I was good at was history because it kind of fell right into my reading habit. So one of my friends, who's a very successful lawyer in his own right, suggested in one of these conversations that I not start over, but that I take the culmination of my professional experience and use that toward a degree and kind of what I'm doing now and build on that. So I kind of was wrapping my head around how I can put together, cop, security guard, and refinery worker. I don't know how to combine those, but early on, about a year into my career with Marathon, I got on the fire department there, realized that's something that I enjoyed. Due to its emergency response in nature and my my career in law enforcement, that's something that was in my wheelhouse. I've been around emergency response for a while, just on the other side of it, right? And I felt I was good at it. I was comfortable with it. I made rank and sergeant, and eventually right now I'm a lieutenant. And so I figured, okay, well, we'll see where this goes. So after talking to my friend, I started looking in our corporation for degree field or fields of that nature outside of our plant that would require a degree. And there's a position called emergency management coordinator that popped up. It requires a lot of skills I have. I just don't have the piece of paper that says I have them. I don't have a bachelor's degree. I do have a lot of the other incident command certifications, but just not that one piece of paper they were looking for. And so I enrolled in the Siena Heights. Also with that degree, after discussing it with some of my coworkers, several of them are very similar to me in age and situation. They went back to school and they found that Siena Heights was perfect for them as well, based on how they use a lot of your professional adult experience, to help you towards your degree. And one of these guys in particular has a master's degree from Eastern Kentucky in emergency management. So that sent the alarm bells off. I'm like, okay, that's what I need to do. Uh, I happen to take a straight day job at the plant right now that allows me the opportunity to go to school. It allowed me to get my EMT license for the fire department. These are all skills that I could use for this degree. And also, the job that I have now involves a lot of public speaking, and my degree that I'm going for is in public communication. It was originally public safety administration, but I kind of changed gears on it just so I don't pigeonhole myself again like I did with my associate's degree. It's kind of tough to get a job outside of law enforcement with that degree. So I don't want to pigeonhole myself again. So I changed it to public communication. And like I said, the job I do now, I do a lot of public speaking. It's a lot of PowerPoints based on the subject matter that I'm trained to do. And I found that my comfort zone is kind of throwing a picture up of the subject matter that I'm talking about, which I'm supposed to be the subject matter expert at the plant. And I just throw a picture up and I just talk about it. There's not a lot of preparation to it for me. I kind of just wing it. So projects like this, where it's a little more structured, a little more formal, having to write a 15-minute speech and go off it is kind of a little out of my comfort zone, but that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to learn these skills. So, with the culmination of my experience and the degree that I'm looking forward to getting, I can talk about where I'm going to go with it. And like I stated before, the emergency management aspect of my job in the corporation is something that interests me. So that's where I plan to take it. Once I have these qualifications, I'm going to focus my efforts on getting a job in our corporate office, and that I can utilize both my credentials and the skills I've obtained through, both my careers in either, emergency response, first response, and my petrochemical operation experience, and, hopefully use that toward some kind of career field moving upward in the company if possible. And I might also test the waters outside the company. I believe with this degree it will open doors for me. So the experience of returning to school at middle age, it's been interesting and challenging. I'm sitting in a hotel room with my kid trying to get this project done. At the same time, it's incredibly rewarding. I don't think I would have had the self-discipline to do this when I was younger. I know I wouldn't have. Age and experience have definitely taught me responsibility. I like to think, or at least I hope, my wife and I are setting a good example for our children. They get to see their parents working, hard, not to better just our lives for ourselves, but for our kids. They also kind of get to watch us struggle with this every day. So when we tell them to buckle down and focus on school while they're young, it's seeing us go through it as adults should give some gravitas to the whole, take care of yourself while you're young speech, or take care of yourself, take care of your school while you're young. So that is what I plan to do, and kind of what this degree and going back to school is all about. So that's it. Thank you.